Hey, entrepreneurs, executives, and spammers. We started the Pilot House email and customer retention team to crush targets. And in our fourth year, we are the best customer retention team in the Roman character set. We use campaigns to fire up the addresses you spent so much money to acquire and build effective automations that keep your engagement window fat and drive value that you can amortize over years. The cheapest customer is the customer you already have, and the most effective ad funnels go to high-intent audience. Come to pilothouse.co, fill out the lead form, and ask to speak with me directly. I'll give you a free audit. Back to the show.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Everlane. Smaller than American Eagle, but notable, DTC first, a company that has its roots in making money selling things online. They're clearly trying to drive brand, and American Eagle's trying to drive revenue. A revenue-driving email program is never really going to be as attractive and enjoyable as a brand-driving email campaign. But let's look at some stuff here that I really enjoyed. Look, is this stuff random? No. Are the photographers thinking about this? Yes. Are the art directors thinking about this? Yes. Should you think about this stuff for your program? Yes. It's the world's best email and retention podcast, and I'm your host, Jordan Gordon. We are a member of the DTC network of podcasts and the philosophical home of the Pilot House email and customer retention team. If you want to make the sweet nectar of low-cost revenue a large part of your digital ecosystem, then follow us on your favorite podcast app today. Last episode, we started a two-part series, American Eagle versus Everlane. Their email and their on-site technical upsell and kind of creative practices, looking at the persistent revenue ecosystem for these two brands. We just looked at American Eagle, which was great to just discuss kind of advertising and how business works. We looked at their program. We discussed the volume of emails they were sending and kind of talked a little bit about how that works and when it's right and not right to do that. We looked at the quality of the individual messages. We looked at how they structured their site. It was a really, really cool chat that if you are an entrepreneur, executive, spammer, or webmaster out there trying to think about how to organize your site, and you are a business that has, let's say, a larger catalog with lots of cross-sell opportunities, whether or not it's fashion, it was a very, very powerful episode to watch. Now we'll go into part two. We're going to look at Everlane. Everlane is a small, about a tenth the size of American Eagle. They've got different realities for their business. They're following different tactics. So what we're going to do, we're going to just jump right into it and look at a really, really, really high quality email program that Everlane has, and some also really high quality on-site features. And at the end, we'll summarize both American Eagle and Everlane, talk about some pros and cons, and ultimately congratulate these two brands for having very high quality email programs meeting their various strategic needs. So have fun spamming. Everlane. Smaller than American Eagle, but notable. DTC first. I'll say a lot of their DTC practices seemed to be more refined to me, and that's what I would expect out of a company that, has its roots in making money selling things online. I did walk by the American Eagle in Victoria, the store. Of course, it had the kind of Sydney Sweeney campaign all over the place. And, kind of just, Victoria's not a huge town. And I just got a feel, walking by there, of course, like DTC is not a huge thing for this brand. In fact, they probably use DTC more to understand their customer. It's probably one of these things that's like 10% of their sales or something like that, 10% of their revenues, but it gives them a pulse on their customer. What's hot right now? Hey, let's push this angle. Do people like it? Right? And then a way to just kind of a venue to clear out, to do some clearance. Whereas Everlane, if they're DTC first with some locations, so what does that mean? They have to get this right. This is not just a way to keep a pulse on their customer. This is a significant amount of the money they make. So we'll just start here on the subject lines, and I'll just say, I saw a lot of more refinement. Now, quick comment. I don't know if you noticed this when you look at this and the American Eagle, but neither of them are doing subheader text. They're just going right into the email. Like Everlane image, 30% off, best-selling denim, all about pants, shop now. That is HTML text from their email. Like Everlane logo, right? It's like an alt text. So both of these brands are just showing me a bunch of, let's just say, HTML internet garbage, right? Like URLs and stuff. And what a waste of space. In the first place someone experiences your brand for your email is in the inbox, not in the actual email. They gotta open it to get to the actual email. This is a brand impression. And lots of people, I see lots of brands that are actually you can use HTML colors in the HTML preheader. And so I see brands that are putting colorful messages in there that grab the eye, put the discount in there in green, something like that. Yeah, just add to the value of the subject with color. So this falls short. For both brands, it falls short. And they also were emailing me about, this is actually like twice a day. So Everlane is in my inbox. I would say even more than AE, which I find surprising. Although we do look back a little bit more. What do we see here on the end here? 9, 11, 12. So maybe they're more like one per day before. And this is just, there's a sale going on right now. But I'll say broadly speaking, both brands are using the same inbox placement strategy, which is as many messages as possible to as wide a group as possible. This is a major source of brand impressions for Everlane. Email is brand. I mean, I've come to this we're a performance agency, and we're in our 4th year. We're coming on our 4th Black Friday. We've got performance tactics. I worked at startups, and I had to drive results for startups so we could get our next round of funding. I've been there, but I also learned about just how much email is brand. And so Everlane is certainly, you will see, using their email program to drive brand. Much more so, I'd say, than American Eagle. It was pretty clear they're using their email program to drive short-term revenue, to hit quarterly targets. They're a big corporate. Everlane's private. They can think about using email to drive brand. And does that work? Yeah, just ask Coca-Cola. Yeah, driving brand works. You might not see the effect of an email right now, but people stay on your list longer, they like you longer, and you get those additional sales down the line. I was thinking about this before the pod, and what's the most unbrandy way to drive traffic? You send an email and it's just this flashing red CTA, and that's it. Just a CTA going flash, 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 like those smack the monkey or punch the monkey things or whatever that were on the internet in 2004. Yeah, and that's probably that would get a good click rate if it was bam, 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 flashing around. Someone would just say, "What is this?" and click on it. Are they going to stay on your list for 3 years with that? No. So how do we approach this? We'll talk about this in a slide, actually. We'll talk about how we approach that in a slide. Next slide. So what did I like here? Walk this way. That's a nice, small subject line. Below it, style denim, right? Light as a feather. Utility redefined. Okay, they're using 2 or 3 word subject lines. I like that because honestly, no one's reading some of those subject lines I marked as red under American Eagle. You can go back and look at them. They're like these huge monster subject lines, right? I think there's a lot to be said for testing very short subject lines in your kind of subject line strategy, seeing if it works for you. I called this one out though. Can't spell utility without you. What does that mean? Right? I probably would not have. I mean, if I've got a busy inbox, I'm not opening that. Now look, team at Everlane and also team at AE, right? For all, much respect to you guys. Absolutely. These are not bad email programs that we're showing here. You're getting a lot of inbox placement. So, whoever wrote this subject line, don't be heartbroken. There's more subject lines to write. Not everyone can be a banger, but wow, what a subject line. Hey, maybe it nailed, there's no way to tell. Only they know. Here are the emails that I most recently received from Everlane. So first of all, notice the nice kind of Instagram style filter. This is like, I think it's a 2010 company or something like that. So the age of the kind of customer who became an independent consumer, that's their customer, that kind of Instagram age. I don't know the fact that they're still using that after 15 years. I'm not sure if that means that their customer has stayed with them and they're not bringing in new cohorts. I don't know, but they do have this new CEO. But I'll just say for me, the look is quite a bit more refreshing and refined than the American Eagle. We did also talk about, hey, a customer is going to come into the American Eagle cohort, a younger customer, and then progress to more kind of refined brands. And so Everlane might be one of those brands that's picking up the customers that move through the kind of American Eagle group. It's American Eagle, or it's, I don't know, I guess Old Navy or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's a good comparison, American Eagle and Old Navy, but for sure Gap. So yeah, very refreshing look. And I like the filters. Notice this one. So every single message I'm showing in these, I'm just stopping at kind of one screen. So it all just, some of these emails go further down. Some of these emails are big bangers. A lot of those American Eagle emails were large. Not as big as the Anthropology kind of Filson or Huckberry that we've discussed, but still long. Look at this really short one with the green arrow below it. I've said this so many times, not every email needs to be huge. We do talk about making emails that are shoppable landing pages. Those are ones where someone has shown intent. They're actively shopping. They're going to look around. Campaigns, you can just send a good image and a button and it'll do great. Just a good, high quality studio or lifestyle shot with a button as a campaign is an awesome campaign. Sometimes clients don't like it as much. They want their money's worth. So they ask for kind of big messages, and, usually it's fine, but just so a lot of time, just a nice studio shot and a CTA, it drives just as many results. Not so much when people are actually shopping. When they're actively shopping, they want to see products. They want to understand the manufacturing, the stitching, these kinds of things, the fit, fabric, fashion. Or if you're not in fashion and you're in another industry, they want to understand quality, durability, whatever it is for whatever the product is that you're selling. Okay. The right, left, right that we see on the left email they have there, this is getting closer to the template that we discussed, the ubiquitous template that we ragged on some episodes ago, Bulgari and other brands like that. Everlane's in that stylish minimalist cohort, but just looking at these, you can see it's not the same. I would not put these. That one is the closest to it because it's just this very simple white background, but the hero shots, first of all, you actually have in many of these, the brand logo over the image. In all of those, you never saw the brand logo over the image in any of those old templates because those templates were so cheap. Let's just say it. They were so cheap. People wanted to be able to just drag a cropped image over and be done, right? That stuff was garbage. So here, you have someone who is making some art over this hero. We'll go over some of that in a bit. But yeah, then they finish off with they're still kind of swimming with those same tides as a lot of those other brands. Let's continue. Oh, by the way, I also like their simple menu at the bottom. I'll show you some stuff I liked here, right? I'll tell you, bottom line, as a marketer, I did enjoy analyzing Everlane more than I enjoyed analyzing American Eagle. Although that does not mean the Everlane email program performs better. Again, they're different strategy. They're clearly trying to drive brand, and American Eagle's trying to drive revenue. So a revenue driving email program is never really going to be as attractive and enjoyable as a brand driving email campaign. But let's look at some stuff here that I really enjoyed. I kind of like this perpendicular, sideways 90-degree image. where kind of the legs are going to the left and the body's going to the right. That's just it's kind of an interesting angle. It's technically it is an angle. 30% off, best-selling denim, all about pants event. It's just something that gets noticed. I mean, look, if you've got to do a whole bunch of shots, you'd better have a list of interesting shots you're going to do. You got to plan it out. And then, when you are kind of thinking about how to get those shots into your campaigns, you have to think to yourself, how am I going to make this different? I mean, if you're trying to drive brand, if you're trying to do something other than just this thing is on discount, I mean, I realize this is a 30% off email, but if you're trying to have a program that's more than just buy this, it's 30% off, you got to have some interesting ideas. And it doesn't need to be this crazy thing. It can be just, we just took the image and we rotated it 90 degrees and that's it. Hey, that makes it kind of a cool little artistic angle on that. Your favorites are on sale for a limited time only. Awesome. And then this next one. Look, I liked this too. Look at this image with the seated model, and then look at the wording. So we've got the logo on top, say headline on the bottom. On the left, we've got the fall edit. On the right, we've got 001, fall edit 001. I'm still not exactly sure what that is. I know it is the name of the fall edit. I don't know why it's called 001. I saw that on the site as well. And actually, you know what? I kind of liked that mystery. Even when I poked around, I was like, I'm not sure what this is. And then I thought to myself, are they just kind of being artsy on me? Is it just called Fall Edit 001 as a kind of a cool name? I kind of think it is. And I think that's cool. We've got this interesting cross, right? Very sharp angles with the different copies. And then she is straight up and down pretty much. And her legs are horizontal, right? And then if you kind of just see this, I don't know if you notice this, but I do too. She's kind of looking up at an angle. It's not completely up at a 45-degree angle, but everything is so squared. And then she's kind of looking at this angle. And it caught my eye. And hey, question, do you think the photographers are thinking about this when they're shooting their models? Yeah, right? This stuff doesn't just happen. Beautiful art doesn't just happen. So this is a really artistic shot, okay? Now, let's just for a second go back and look at some of the American Eagle, okay? It's just classic studio shot, right? They've got some kind of fabric that the models are standing on, and these models, I'm sure they've trained in modeling, and they're just kind of doing classic shots. Everlane showed me an interesting piece of art. Really nice. Kudos to you, team at Everlane. And then I saw this one and I thought, oh, wow. So we just looked at this 4-point cross. That's what we saw. We saw a 4-point cross. And what do we see here? First of all, fall edit 001 again. What is this fall edit? But then this model, I see a pentagram or a pentagon. I see a 5-pointed shape. She's got her head is the top point. Her arms are coming out, making kind of like the 2 points of the upper points of the star. And then her legs come out and make the lower points of a star. And look at this. So that's very sharp. This shot is sharp. And then behind her are 2 circles. She's sitting on a circular seat, and there's no corner to her background. It's a circle. And so it's this very soft background with her very hard posture. And look at her face too. Look, is this stuff random? No. Are the photographers thinking about this? Yes. Are the art directors thinking about this? Yes. Should you think about this stuff for your program? Yes. Right? Very good. And bold colors play well with neutrals. I guess the shoes and the bags are the neutrals. Your shoes are technically supposed to match your belt and I guess your purse for women's fashion. So they got neutrals and they pair it with this very sharp red and blue with these very sharp angles. And, just compare to certainly this earlier shot with the seated model with the cross shape, much more feminine, much more kind of I'd say delicate, and this one is hard, and it's got the extra points. It's more pointed. Great email, and then below that, of course, just some products, right? Like that hero for a campaign, you really want to pull people in. If it was a browser ban, then I'd say lead with the product. We've discussed that before. We just ran that. Lead with the product. They were into that product. They'll probably be into it again. The chances of them clicking that product are higher than some other product. It's just empirical, right? So it just gets polished up with some products and another shot of the model. And then this one. So just a close up on some sweaters on a chair. Okay, you're doing your shoot. These models are not cheap. They're expensive. So also just do some cool shots with cool angles. Here's, a chair. We can't even see the whole chair. The whole chair is cropped out. So we just know that seat's there. And then just a stack of the sweaters. And it's just a nice, very affordable way to extend your photo shoot and get more assets out of it. And we discussed this when we went through Fry Company. We discussed a lot of reusing assets and getting the most out of your shoot. Here's just some more emails. We'll just close off with a bunch more emails they sent me. So this 3x4 grid, I mean, anybody who's listened enough knows that I'm not super into like these massive grids, but that's for technical reasons, for how they interact when you move them around dynamically and things like that. But if it's just an image, like, what do I like about this? It's just product shots. Just go to the site, grab the studio shot, on the table or whatever, and just put 12 of them on there. Super easy. I mean, can someone crop 12 boxes? Yeah, they can crop 12 boxes. Is AI going to be pumping this out? Yes, this is the first kind of email AI is going to be just shoving in our faces because it's going to be so easy to make. So watch out. We might get sick of this. At the moment, though, I think it's working. They're picking the colors nicely. It's making a nice aesthetic. We do see they're finally kind of doing a little bit of repurposing some of their images here. So they are reusing images, but I did not get the feel going through this that there was a lot of kind of image reuse that was going on. Just handsome looking program. Continue to the site. Wow, is this incredibly more minimalist than what we saw on American Eagle. American Eagle was featuring 2 products. I would click through to those 2 specific products. This is featuring some pants they've just launched, so newness. But there was so much structured artwork and design behind the 2 products on the American Eagle home. And this is just 2 great model shots, much more minimal. And in my mind, after seeing decades of digital assets, it's just more attractive. I find this more attractive. Their pop-up, you can't get more minimal than this. I mean, they're really telling you what their style is, right? Not even an image. What did we see from American Eagle? We saw 2 butts, right? Also, what's important here, this is 20% off. So these guys are DTC based. We discussed that. Their list, their email list is so important to them. Making money from their email list is so important to them. They're making sure that you get on there. They're going to give you 20% off. Oh, okay. And you'll subscribe to the list. I liked this. On the menu is cult favorites. Okay, there's best sellers, sure. And then there's cult favorites, right? And so they're pushing a lookbook here. I don't go through the lookbook here. Because I wanted to get onto the PDP and do the kind of PDP analysis that we did for American Eagle. I also didn't go into American Eagle's kind of jeans guide that they gave out. But I invite you guys to go check them out and think about how you might use those to engage your audience. Give them a reason. I mean, if you make a good lookbook, you can send more than 1 email out for that, of course, because unengaged users interact with every 10 emails. So if you made a lookbook, you'd want to email about that a lot and talk about subsections of the lookbook and then click through to the lookbook. And of course, that lookbook's going to be built to sell. So certainly do those things. And what are you doing? You're extending the value of your assets. It's going to be a bunch of the same pictures that you had on your site and in your emails anyway. It is. But you will take some special shots that would only be in that lookbook. So that lookbook is kind of worth someone going through. Yeah, it's a chance to just make cool looks and build cool fashion. And ultimately show your user this is the person, this is our person, right? Do you want to be part of this? Because this is what we think is cool. And you're like, yeah, I want to be part of that. I better buy some of those pants. So cult favorites. Yeah, that's just such a cool way to say, our best sellers. We got imagery in here, which was not what was going on that AE one. And that AE one, there was so much going on, so many menu items. I'm not going to read all those menu items. So a bunch of those are just, they're not doing anything, right? The paradox of choice. Some people are actually going to look at that and go, oof, that's too much. And they're going to just go away. Hey, you just drove someone away from your menu, which should be driving people to appropriate categories that match the products that they're interested in purchasing right now. So I really like the images in here. Yeah, put some images in your menu, right? All right, so we got some men's best sellers, and I click on the gentleman on the left here, and what's some stuff that I like in here. The details, they're actually kind of breaking down what details are important. T-shirts are so commoditized. You got to actually tell me what's special about this that I'm not just going to get, T-shirts at Costco or something like that. So they do that. And also there is a thought through upsell here. Okay. This is a bundle. This thing's $56, but 3 for 102. 102 is, why are these numbers weird? It converted to Canadian dollars. I'm on majestic Vancouver Island. So anyway, it's saying, yeah, just add some more and you're going to get this bundle discount. So this is more sophisticated technology to increase AOV than I saw on American Eagle. And also when it says update your wardrobe, like I think it makes sense to be like, you're shopping for shirts. Here's some other shirts that look good. But also, why not some things to complete the look? Like absolutely complete the look. And this isn't only useful for fashion. I do lots of fashion on this channel because I like fashion emails. But if you're selling tools, look, people who have hammers need nails, right? So just actually filling people's needs for your whole range of products is something you should be doing here. And I see Everlane doing it, I would say, to a greater degree than American Eagle. Let's close it out and let's give our final thoughts on the way that these two brands are marketing themselves in email and on site. Again, two different strategies, right? One company has a vibrant brick and mortar retail presence. And so, their online system is not going to be a big part of their revenue, and they're probably using it. They're getting a lot of information out of it, and let's make as much money as we can while we're doing that. And the other is mostly online. So and probably not running a lot of things like TV commercials. I mean, or whatever, lots of ads. They're definitely running less, I would say, ads, on Google Display or whatever. So connecting with people through email is going to be much more important for them. And you can see that if you go back here and go through these two email programs. This is really good for you entrepreneurs, executives, and spammers and webmasters who are trying to figure out, what do I do creatively to enhance the kind of the selling tactics that I'm doing. It's like these two brands, they're doing lots of similar things, but you can tell the nuance. You can really see it if you go back and look at these brands, how what they're doing is slightly different, meeting two slightly different strategies. I don't think there's a huge excuse for Everlane to be doing what I would consider better upsell tactics on site than American Eagle. I think that's maybe just a miss or a gap for AE, although I don't know what the results are. I can't see the financials, but I do think that Everlane's doing something more sophisticated. And, we can see, we're looking at minimalist versus maximalist. I showed you what I thought were some really cool maximalist brands when we did minimalism versus maximalism. I invite you to go back and look at those. I particularly remember the P&Co email, looked really, really cool. Had Anthropology on there, one of my favorite email programs. Go back and check those out. Check out those email programs. The AE emails were maximalist, but not in a way I really found attractive, like not in an artistic way. Recall on that episode, we discussed the kind of the artistic urinal versus the Bernini, the carving in Rome. Not using that to compare either of these brands. That's not the right comparison whatsoever. But point being, the reason I'm bringing that up is the Bernini is maximalist in a way. There's so much detail, right? The urinal is actually minimalist, right? The artistic urinal. So maximalist can be beautiful because there's so much there. Just like when you go for a walk in the forest, oh my God, there's so much there. There's so much to see. There's so many details. Maximalism can be very beautiful, and minimalism can be very dead. And that's what I saw there. And here I am seeing it's a bit different. I'm seeing the minimalism of Everlane is actually holds a lot of beauty in it. And they use that minimalism to express specific artistic ideas. And the maximalism of American Eagle doesn't look bad at all. It doesn't look bad. Those emails look great, but it's not connecting with me. Maybe it connects to a younger cohort. I don't know, right? I mean, it's been a long time since I was that old. But like, again, important things to think about. And finally, emailing every day. We don't generally email every day for our service. I audit all the time. People come in and they're sending an email a day and they're so deep in spam. So look, rules were made to be broken. You know, these guys, they've got someone on the brand side who's devoted to looking at every single aspect of the email, the HTML, the kind of all these tricky things like image to text ratios, which, you know, don't really matter as much as engagement. But they're looking at all these things, right? And they're looking at their segment sizes. We just discussed segment sizes, and I threw out a bunch of numbers for you. And what did I say? These numbers mean nothing. You got to figure these numbers out yourself. Look, if you're not overwhelming your list with messages, you can get away with more. When you are overwhelming your list, like these guys are, those numbers make a difference. I guarantee you, these guys have high quality email marketers. By the way, I would love to hear from either email marketer from American Eagle and Everlane. I'd love to have you on the show to talk to professionals just about kind of what you think about email. That would be amazing. As well, anybody managing the software that upsells on site, love to have you on the show to talk. So these are high quality professional email marketers. They are able to push all those messages out without landing 6 feet deep in spam. So think about that, and think about when I audit scaling brands that are sending an email a day, usually they're like 6 feet deep in spam. So consider that. Yeah, what great brands. Thanks for joining us. And final comments to both brands. Great job on producing high performing email programs. Entrepreneurs, executives, spammers, and webmasters, have fun spamming.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Hey entrepreneurs and spammers, remember, you can't scale without email, and the cheapest customer to acquire is the customer you already have. So please subscribe to the world's best email and retention podcast and learn how to make low-cost revenue a big part of your digital ecosystem.